Hello, and thank you for joining our broadcast today. Welcome to my real estate show. My name is Angela Olmos, and if you're not familiar with me, I am a full-time real estate agent in the Northeast Florida area. I am also a mom, a wife, and I am absolutely passionate about the real estate industry. So in today's show, I want to be covering a very special topic that you may or may have not heard about. There is a great program in the Northeast Florida area that actually allows you up to $15,000 to be used towards the purchase of your new home. And I just have a question for you. If someone handed you 15 grand, here's $15,000, and all they asked is that you use it towards the purchase of a home, your home, would you take it? Would you at least want to hear about it? I know I would. So to answer all those questions and give you guys all that valuable information, I have an expert in this program. This is a dear friend of mine. This is someone that I've actually done business with. He has great credibility in this industry, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy this content. I'm proud to introduce Alex Stewart from the Bank of England. So let me go ahead and bring him on the show. Welcome, Alex.
Hi, Angela. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to have you. Thank you for joining us.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned to you, a lot of my clients are interested in learning about this down payment assistance program. It seems like a great thing to have access to. Many of us, I know myself included, we had to save for our down payment, and it took some time to make sure that we gather everything that we needed for closing costs and everything else that we needed to buy that home. So when I hear of a special program like this, I love for people to take advantage of that. It might perhaps cut down the time that might be required for them to gain what they need. So I'd love for you to tell us more about it.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest factors when buying a house, right? Most people, I think, you come into the common assumption is you need 20% down to be able to buy a house, and that's a huge myth. First of all, you really only need 3% at a minimum, but if you're a first-time buyer, there are programs out there that can give you money that goes towards your down payment and your closing costs. And what the reason why they exist is because when you look at the buyers in the market out there, people have the income, people have the credit. The hard part is they just don't have the savings to be able to put a down payment down on a house. And as you and I both know, in Northeast Florida, rents are high. And so a lot of times people are saving money on their monthly payments when they actually buy compared to renting, as well as being able to take advantage of getting some money to be able to have some equity in the house too.
Absolutely. So there is this one program specifically that I understand is becoming available here in the first week of March, which is next week. And I know I've heard a lot about it because I'm in the real estate industry and I run around those circles. I understand it's called the bond program. Is that right?
Yeah, specifically they call it the hardest hit fund. Okay. So the history on this program is it's something that was around a few years ago. A lot of people got to take advantage of it, but the money kind of ran out for it. They've reintroduced it into the market with about $20 million of funding from all the people that used it in the past that ended up having to maybe move or sell their house earlier than they expected. And so the money came back into the program. So they expect it'll be a little over 1,000 families that'll be able to use this. So It's not going to be around that much, but for buyers that are in the market in March and April, it's going to be something that's a rare opportunity to take advantage of.
Yeah, that's a true blessing. I like to hear that. Now, what are the benefits of this program, Alex?
Absolutely. Yeah, the number one benefit is of this specific program is it's giving you $15,000 towards your down payment and your closing costs. And what that means to a lot of buyers is the only money that they're going to have to come out of pocket is going to be a home inspection and a small deposit to kind of hold the house, which in a lot of cases can be as low as $500. And we can set it up to where they can get that $500 back at closing. So, total amount of money you're having to invest to buy a house, can be less than $500 at the end of the day. And then, the huge benefit of this is if you live in the house for 5 years, the money is totally forgiven. So you don't have to pay it back, which with all the other programs, there's usually some aspect of having to pay it back that you have to worry about. In this case, if you live in the house 5 years, you don't even do anything with it.
Wow, that's fantastic. And how does this work? How would someone get started into getting this type of benefit?
Yeah. So the process to get started is the same as buying a house in general, right? We always want to come in with an open mind when we talk to clients and home buyers to really understand what their goals are. Because if you are going to buy a house for a year and you know you're going to be moving, it makes no sense to just jump into one of these programs necessarily because of the rules. But once we've understood what their goals are and what they're trying to do with this home purchase, we go through an application, which is just gathering some basic details, and we can tell them which of the loans they can qualify for and what the benefits are. So it's very standard, and I would say the best step is just to start with you, right? And if they get in contact with you, you're able to point them in the right direction. And I think the biggest thing that we should talk about kind of high level is the qualifications, the minimum requirements to take advantage of one of these.
Sure.
So the first thing is a 640 credit score.
Okay.
And the average credit score in America is up in the upper 600s. So that's not a credit score that is uncommonly high. Most people have a credit score that will qualify for that. Additionally, they have to be a first-time home buyer for the most part. And the way that they define that is they haven't owned a home in the last 3 years. So there's a lot of exceptions. There's certain areas of town where that rule is actually totally done away with because they want to incentivize people to own homes in that part of town. So my thought would be is if you're unsure or if you think you might be a first-time buyer, again, reaching out to Angela and getting the process started with her is the best way to kind of get started there.
Fabulous, fabulous. So the $15,000, I understand that's the total benefit, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the pool of money that they would have access to.
Yep.
Okay, so can that be used towards all down payment, or can that be actually split up towards maybe $10,000 for down payment and then $5,000 for closing? What's the combination, and how can those funds be used?
Yeah, it's totally flexible. Typically, you see it in the $10,000 for down payment, $5,000 for closing costs, kind of a structure. And usually, it allows people to put more than the minimum down, which is great. However, there are people that have savings that want to take advantage of this in addition to the savings they have. And there's no limitations. You could put 20% down of your own money and then stack the $15,000 on top of it, and that's not going to be a problem.
Wow,
so it's totally flexible on what you need. And the other thing is if you got a seller credit from, say you negotiated and the seller was going to give you some money towards your closing costs, you could take the whole 15 and put it all down on the loan.
Wow, that's terrific. Now, so you mentioned the credit score at 640. What are some of the other things that you look for in terms of qualification?
Sure. Yeah, the biggest one is that credit score and just not having owned a home in the last 3 years. That's really defined by being on a deed. There are income limits. However, there's a lot of flexibility around that. This program is going to be available in both FHA and conventional, which just means there's going to be multiple options that have different income limits. And a lot of times we find ways that even if you make, $150,000, there can be ways that potentially you can still qualify for this and it won't cut you out. The income limits are upwards of $100,000. So they're very close to that. So it's not like you have to make $40,000 to be able to take advantage of this. And then the maximum home price is above $300,000. So, it's a very non-restrictive program that the whole goal is to help people buy houses that wouldn't otherwise be able to buy houses. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, and this only comes around during certain times. So I understand that this is going to be available March 4th. Is that right?
Yep, the 4th. And if you're under contract now and want to take advantage of it, it's something that you typically can be switched into. If you are just beginning your process, Angela, I know you're famous for finding people the right house on the very first day because you know exactly what they're looking for.
One look is all it takes.
Right. They can get out there and it's not too late to be able to take advantage of it as well.
That's fabulous. Okay, great. In this context, just touching base back again on the first-time home buyer, you mentioned that would mean not having been on the deed. And for a first-time home buyer, they might not fully understand what that means. So I just wanted to clarify, the deed is the document that actually establishes ownership on that property.
Yep.
So it could be that they may have been on a deed with a parent or someone else. We just have to make sure that they weren't on that document for the last 3 years. Is that right?
Yeah, and let me give you a great example. I had a husband and wife that were interested in taking advantage of a first-time buyer program. The husband actually owned the house they lived in prior to their marriage. They got married, but they never really did the legal action to add the wife as a full-on owner of the house. And so I was able to qualify the wife alone to buy a house, and she was able to buy a house using this program, and they both could move into it, even though the husband owned the house. So there's a lot of little loopholes, a lot of things where when you know the rules, you can best find ways to get people into the house and help them accomplish their goals.
Absolutely. And that's why we recommend to really sit down with a financing specialist like Alex to, just look at the whole picture, see what qualifications you might have. And I'm sure that he'll be able to match you up with the right program just based on those circumstances. And then another thing, I've heard you say that it's a forgivable loan. So after 5 years, they wouldn't have to pay that back. Now, what happens if they sell the house within, let's say, year 3?
Sure. Yeah. So this specific program, you get the benefit of the years you live in the house. So if you lived in the house for 3 years, they basically give you credit for $3,000 for each year you live in the house. So you're only paying back $6,000 at the end of that. And the way that you pay it back is going to be ultimately when you sell that house, if you were going to make $10,000 on the sale, they'll just take 6,000 of that 10 and go ahead and pay the loan off. So it's not necessarily an out-of-pocket cost. If you have equity in your house when you do sell it, it's something that can go towards this.
That's fabulous. Okay, great. Now, can you tell us a story of anyone that may have used this program before and how it worked out for them?
Yeah, I've got one that is at the very top of my memory, and it happened honestly 2 years ago, but it's something that it just shows why these programs exist and why I'm passionate about being able to help people use it. We had a young lady, she's engaged, so it's kind of the beginning for her, right? We all are excited about that phase of life, and we went through the process of helping her. It's her very first house, and we get to the closing table, and the closing table obviously is where you go and sign the official documents and are actually going to walk away with the keys to the house. Mm-hmm. And once she got the keys, she started crying. And of course, the husband and father and me, I immediately go, "What's wrong?" And in kind of having a conversation with her, she just breaks down and she goes, "I'm literally the first person in my entire family ever to buy a house, to own a house. My entire family, we've always rented. I have no one in my family that's ever owned a house, and I'm the first one to finally get that and be able to change that direction." And so, just knowing what that means to her and her family and the course that's going to set her family on, that's why we do this, is to be able to create memories like that. And we know that your home is where so much of life happens. And for us to be able to help people have that positivity and those blessings is what we do it for.
Oh, that's fantastic. What a great story, and what a great accomplishment for her,
Yeah.
And I always feel that, when you set your mind to a goal, it's just a matter of, taking the necessary steps to get in there. I know that people see the value in homeownership. Like you said, this is where we create life. This is where we celebrate Thanksgivings and Christmas and birthday parties. And, we build a legacy through, spending time there with our family. So if we could make this benefit available to anyone watching, I definitely encourage you guys to take advantage of it. You have the right team here to help you. I specialize in the sales part of it. So yes, it would start off with me. We'll go out and search for just the right home. But I also encourage you to connect with Alex, because, we always want to make sure that we're pre-qualified when we go out shopping for a home. And that's the part that he brings tremendous value into the transaction. And I hope that you guys are listening and take advantage of this opportunity. In fact, if you might already own a home, maybe you know someone, a friend, a relative, that might be interested in taking advantage of this. So please share this content with them. We like to bring value to their lives and help them create, their goals and buy a home where they can create memories to last a lifetime. Mm-hmm. So with that said, I truly appreciate your time. I hope that you guys enjoy this content. Please be sure to like my business Facebook page. And should there be anything that I could either do to help you either buy, sell, or invest in real estate, please let us know. Oh, Alex, one more thing. How would they get in hold of you? How can they?
As always, if they get a hold of you, Angela, I know that they can get pointed to us. But we're located in Jacksonville Beach. I work from my cell phone, and the best bet would be to just get a hold of you, and I know you can connect us.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much. And I appreciated you being here on my show, Alex.
Hey, pleasure. I appreciate it, Angela.
All right, you got it. Talk to you soon.
All right, bye.
Thanks, guys.